Having a roommate is a terrific living arrangement for many people. It reduces loneliness and is a reasonable choice. Even though most roommates wind up being close friends, sharing a space with someone else can occasionally turn sour. You'll read about 10 people on this list who ended up becoming housemates from hell. These 10 roommates will make you want to live alone, from a killer who sleepwalks to a horrible landlord. Number 10. Horror boarding house for old ladies. Detectives discover body in Dorothea Puente's yard. Boarding house murders. Oxygen Alvaro Montoya, 52, was accepted into Dorothea Puente's boarding house in Sacramento, California, in 1988. Due to her reputation for caring for her elderly and disabled tenants, Puente was recommended to him because he had been experiencing mental health issues. But Judy Moise, Montoya's outreach counselor, was concerned when Montoya vanished without a trace, unlike her other tenants who had no close friends or relatives. Moise did not accept Puente's explanation that he had taken a vacation. When the police arrived at the boarding house after receiving her call, Puente gave them the same account. When they were unable to uncover anything after searching the house, the police requested Puente for permission to dig up the backyard. Puente consented to this and requested permission to purchase coffee. They started digging when the police told she could leave. 7 of Puente's tenants' bodies were found there. Puente fled, but 5 days later she was captured and brought back to Sacramento. She had been suffocating her tenants after giving them sleeping drugs, and then she had hired prisoners to bury the dead in her yard. Puente was finally found guilty and received several life sentences in 1993. On March 27, 2011, she passed away in prison from natural causes at the age of 82. Number 9. Murder is caused by a roommate's disapproval of heavy drinking. Pamela Keltz, who shared a room with Thomas Holyfield and was 64 years old, was the closest friend. But because Keltz didn't drink, they constantly quarreled about his heavy drinking. Holyfield allegedly wanted to kill Keltz because she disliked his binge drinking. When Holyfield entered Keltz's bedroom, he found a bottle of windshield washer that he had used to poison Keltz. He allegedly put some of the substance in Keltz's Coke bottle, which landed her in the hospital. He kept poisoning her drinks to kill her when she got home. While Keltz was receiving intensive care, Holyfield allegedly called the police on May 30, 2021, to confess. Doctors attempted to revive Keltz after learning that she had been poisoned, but on June 1, they pronounced her brain dead and removed her from life support. On January 20, 2022, Holyfield was scheduled to appear in court, but the specifics of the charge have not been made public. Number 8. And quarrel about the volume of the music turns violent. Police. A couple killed their roommate after he complained about noise. In a Bronx apartment in March 2022, Mina Torrigo, 20, and her 21-year-old boyfriend, John Delgado, disobeyed a request from 29-year-old Jonathan Hutchison for them to be quiet. He turned up the volume on his music in revenge. The pair supposedly became enraged by this and broke into Hutchison's room. Delgado punched him with brass knuckles, while Torrigo assaulted him with mace. The 3 combatants eventually ended up in the living room, where one of the 2 fatally stabbed Hutchison in the chest and neck. The victim was found dead at the spot by the first responders who arrived at the flat. Manslaughter, use of firearms, and murder charges are being brought against Delgado and Torrigo. Number 7. Disaster occurs when food stamps go missing. Jessica McBride, 30, and her partner were permitted to live at Tracy Russell's house in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But in March 2019, she sent the 2 tenants a notice to vacate for an undisclosed cause. When McBride went back to Russell's house to retrieve certain items, she claimed that Russell had stolen her pocketbook and food stamps. After an argument about this, McBride put Russell in a rear chokehold, which led to her death. Russell was left for dead by McBride, who then packed her things and fled. She invited a friend to go back to the house and assist her in setting it on fire, but the buddy reported it to the police. McBride was apprehended by a police officer acting as a double agent. The friend and the undercover police officer picked up McBride on March 20 and took him to Russell's house. With lighter fluid and gas camp fuel in a small bag, McBride exited the vehicle. She then attempted to set the building on fire by breaking through one of the windows, but she was apprehended. McBride faces 15 years in federal prison, 3 years of supervised release, and a $250,000 fine. The exact date of her sentencing is unknown. Number 6. Killed while praying. Gloria Farmer shared a residence with her daughter Gloria Ann Jordan and a different roommate in November 2021. Jordan approached Farmer as she was seated on an office chair, placed her palm on her forehead, and pushed Farmer backwards while murmuring a prayer. Then Jordan, who weighed 170 pounds, sat in a pose of prayer on her mother's chest. Jordan sat on her mother until she stopped breathing, despite Farmer and her other roommates' best efforts to move her. Mechanical asphyxiation was the cause of her death. Police initially believed the deceased woman's death was caused by medical issues when they responded to a call about her. But after Farmer's buddy voiced their worries about her passing, they re-interviewed the roommate who had originally informed them what had transpired. Because she was afraid of Jordan, she omitted this information from the initial interview. Jordan was taken into custody and charged with assault resulting in bodily injury in a domestic incident after Farmer's death was ruled to be a homicide. Although more information regarding her case is unknown, she is still detained at the Wichita County Jail. Number 5. A student roommate fight turns into a murder. In 2019, Jordan Jones and Alexis Crawford both attended Clark Atlanta University as students. They shared a room. Crawford reported to the police on October 26, 2019, that Jones' boyfriend, Baron Brantley, had sexually abused her. Crawford passed out while the group was drinking and believed Brantley had abused her. Crawford and Jones visited a liquor store on October 30. Crawford invited her roommate to go with her to the shop despite the two of them not speaking to each other due to the alleged attack. Crawford's relatives became aware of her disappearance 2 days later and alerted authorities. Crawford and Jones got into a physical altercation inside their flat right after their late-night liquor run. Then Brantley intervened, choking Crawford until she passed out. Crawford's body was placed in a plastic container and dumped in a Decatur, Georgia park by Jones and Brantley. Jones and Brantley were detained and charged with felony murder a week later. Despite the fact that they both admitted to the murder, no trial date has been established. Number 4. Argument between a former actor and his girlfriend degenerates. Actor from the Power Rangers, who was killed by a sword, was given a 6-year sentence. Former actor Ricardo Medina Jr. is well known for his work on the Power Rangers television series. However, a fight between him and his roommate in 2015 descended into chaos. In the kitchen of their Los Angeles home, Medina and 38-year-old Joshua Sutter were bickering about Medina's girlfriend. Medina and his girlfriend eventually got into a violent quarrel, so they went to Medina's bedroom and shut the door. However, Medina took a sword and fatally stabbed Sutter after breaking down the door. When Medina was first accused of murder, he insisted that it was self-defense. He admitted admission to manslaughter in March 2017 and received a 6-year prison term. Number 3. Sleepwalking by a man turns deadly. The murder of Brooke Preston and the reality behind Dead Asleep, on Hulu. Together with his closest pal Brooke Preston, Randy Herman Jr. resided in West Palm Beach. At first, everything was going smoothly. Herman returned to his old habits of heavy drinking and drug use after quitting his work though. Preston reconnected with Herman in March 2017 after moving to Buffalo, New York, to live with her boyfriend. They shared the day. However, Herman became so inebriated that he started being aggressive, which annoyed Preston. She left for the evening after texting a buddy to come pick her up. She went back to Herman's house the following morning to inquire about a t-shirt she was meant to bring. He indicated his dresser before drifting off again. Less than 30 minutes later, Herman awoke to discover Preston dead on the floor and himself holding his hunting knife. He had sliced her throat and stabbed her more than 20 times. He dialed 911 and reported killing his pal to the dispatcher. He was detained and accused of murder in the first degree. He entered a not guilty plea and said he killed Preston while sleepwalking. This defense was, however, rejected, and Herman was given a life term in jail in May 2019. Number 2. Terrified roommates of serial squatter. Jameson Bachman attended the University of Miami and Georgetown University as a distinguished student. But instead of passing the bar test, he used his legal skills to intimidate and scam several roommates. He would live with his victim and either make things difficult for them by failing to pay their rent or by seeking to evict them. In 2017, Alex Miller posted a Craigslist ad looking for a roommate. A man named Jed Creek responded, but he was actually Bachman. Their living situation was acceptable at initially, but Bachman soon started refusing to pay the bills and stealing Miller's possessions. After learning more about Jed Creek and the atrocities he had done, Miller eventually phoned the police. He needed to go, she stated in a letter, because the police were aware of his behavior. The following morning, Bachman attacked Miller and stabbed her. He was detained after she dialed the police, but his brother, Harry, provided bail. Then, in a surprising change of events, Bachman killed his brother by beating him to death and took his wife's car and credit card. Police discovered him and have accused him of first and third-degree murder. But Bachman killed himself by hanging himself in his cell prior to going on trial. Number 1. Famous stars' X experiences a decline. Johnny Lewis was a budding actor who made appearances in well-known American TV series like the motorcycle-themed Sons of Anarchy. Lewis is said to have served as the inspiration for 2 of pop singer Katy Perry's songs. He also dated the famous pop star. He did, however, leave Sons of Anarchy in 2009 because he thought the narratives were getting too violent. He moved into the Writer's Villa, a residence in Los Angeles built for artists, in April 2009. Lewis got along well with the 81-year-old Kathy Davis who oversaw the home. Sadly, he was seriously injured in a motorbike accident, which led to a rise in his odd and unpredictable conduct. He was detained for a number of offenses and spent time in a mental hospital. Lewis made the decision to return to the Writer's Villa after relocating with his parents. But on September 26, 2012, Lewis fatally assaulted and strangled his landlady Kathy Davis, killing her in a terrible manner. Then, after ascending to the roof or upper patio, he plunged to his death. Although it is unclear if he fell or leaped, his death was classified as an accident. Although a toxicology report came back negative, drugs were still suspected. Some claim that the rider's risky behavior was brought on by an unrecognized brain injury from the motorcycle accident. The Writer's Villa is still kept up, however it is not currently rented out. Margaret Leslie Davis, Kathy Davis's daughter, is the owner.